We talked about preamble, right? And we talked about also making of India's constitution. Fine. In preamble, I talked about various concepts. For example, we talked about sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. We talked about justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. And we have also talked about what do you mean by integration, national integration, right? And I have talked about the Supreme Court verdict about preamble, right? And then I have started talking about rights, right? Acha. We talked about different notion of rights, right? We talked about different notion of rights. For example, we talked about natural right, we talked about legal right, we talked about moral right, then human right, and then we talked about fundamental right. कोई कंफ्यूजन है तो पूछिए, क्या डिफरेंस है, क्या सिमिलैरिटी है? सिमिलैरिटी तो बहुत है, विद डिफरेंस पता होना चाहिए. What is difference between fundamental right and human right? What is difference between fundamental and right and natural right? ये पता होना चाहिए कि बेसिक डिफरेंस क्या है. Otherwise, there are overlapping. For example, fundamental rights, there are set of fundamental rights which can be also natural right. Fine. And there are some natural rights which are also fundamental right. So there will be overlapping. Fine. कुछ पूछना है? First 5 minutes I should give to speak, is to you to speak. You can speak anytime, but first 5 minutes, can you recap what we talked about? Anyone? Can you recap what we have talked about yesterday? Yeah, we talked about all these rights. Sorry? Keshwan Bharti, yeah, we talked about it. Okay. Why the concept of natural right came into being? Yeah, very good. It came in opposition to the divine right theory. Right? Divine right theory was very popular in medieval time. Right? So there are philosophers who talked about, no, it is not God who has given right to the people. It is a nature which has given birth to the human being, and by birth, individual has certain rights. Individual has certain rights. What are those rights? Right to life. Nature ने दिया है कि कोई नहीं ले सकता. No one has a right to take your life or my life. Right? Even I myself cannot destroy my life because I have not produced it. The nature has produced me, and I have a right to die, accordingly when I'll be old age. My natural death जिसको बोलते हैं. Right? We'll talk about death or right to die dignified death जो concept है, we'll talk about that. But natural right is some rights which has given by the nature. अच्छा, legal right क्या है? Yes, Daman, Amber, yeah, this time I think this side. What is it? Natural legal right? Anyone? Nitin, Lal Suranga?
So set of rights provided by the
right given by the law. Yeah, a set of rights that is provided by the law. It means law. Who made the law? Can I make the law? Can we make the law? No. Who made the law? State make the law. Fine. So a certain set of rights given by the law, right? Recognized by the law. For example, can you give me an example of legal right? Yeah, right to education, right to information, very good. Right to employment, yeah. Right to property is also legal right. Anyway, now what is moral right? Yeah, this side, this time your chance. Yeah, what is moral right? A set of law that is good for, even that good is very contested, right? So for example, take the one example that a law which can be morally wrong, can it be legally right? A law which is morally wrong, can it be legally right? Yes. So for example, IPC 377 was morally wrong. Was it legally right? The morality questions the legality. It was legally wrong, na? That's why I was asking. If some law is morally wrong, can it be legally right? You should have said no. ठीक है? या अच्छा, तो पता चला था moral right क्या है? Fine. एक पेपर आप yes बोलिए. अच्छा, तो 1 minute coming to that. There's one paper, ethics. You know, there is a one paper, ethics. What do you mean by ethics? You'll study a paper which is called ethics. What does it mean? Right to? So the right way to do a thing. Morality का भी मतलब वही है. Honesty, value, moral principles. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. बोलो बोलो. Ethics मतलब होता है morally correct. Morally correct. Right? And when you talk about morally, when you as a bureaucrat, what should be your morality? Should it come from society? Yes or not? Yes? So if caste system perpetuate, you should allow caste system to perpetuate? I told you yesterday that there is a different source of morality. So what should be the source of your morality when you will be a bureaucrat? Yeah, right. Preamble. Preamble should be the source of morality. Constitution should be the source of morality. Law should be the source of morality. Right? ठीक है? Right. And rules book जो है आपको जो rules book जिसके हिसाब से काम करना है, that should be the source of morality, rather than caste, creed, religion. Fine. Even if you find a very close person, but who has done guilty, you have to order to arrest, isn't it? Right? Anyway, so that is basically ethics is a branch of philosophy which teaches you what is right and what is wrong. It is a branch of philosophy, right? Who is the father of ethics? No, Socrates. Who's the father of ethics? Socrates. Have you heard about Socrates? Socrates. कैसे जानते हो सुकरात के बारे में? फिलोसफर था, yes. उसके बाद is also called father of philosophy. दूसरा कुछ और जानते हो? Sorry? He was a teacher of Plato. Right. Yeah, it's right. It's right. He was a teacher of Plato. Then how do you know more about him? Political theory में काम शुरू होता है उससे. He was from Greek. देखो नितिन ने बोला he was from Greek, sir. उसको जहर दे दिया गया था. Right? Yeah. उसको जहर दिया था मरने के लिए. मतलब he was, sentenced to die, death. Right? By drinking, hemlock poison. And it was given by a democratic government. a 500 jury, not only 1, 2, 3, 4 judges, 500 jury मतलब पता है ना, a set of judge, 500 jury. Now with majority, it was sentenced to death to Plato, to die. Why? Do you know why he what was the accusation against him? Socrates. I'm talking about Socrates, man. How he was misleading the community youth.
पॉलिटिक्स को उसको सबसे ऊपर मानते थे और बोलते थे वो वही कर सकते हैं जिसके पास पैसा है, मतलब वो एक तरह से मनी को एज अ सोर्स ऑफ लिविंग मानते थे। लेकिन सॉक्रेट्स का ये मानना नहीं था। सॉक्रेट्स बोलते हैं कि सबके लिए है और इसी वजह से ही लोग।
He was accused of corrupting youth, as you are pointed out. How he was corrupting youth, that was not a right answer. He invented his own God. He invented his own God, and he used to ask a very tough question, very courageous question, right? And he was accused of that he is not obeying the God, city God, like Plutus and Olympus. Olympic उसी के नाम पे होता है, Olympic game. He has invented his own God. He is corrupting youth, misleading the youth, right? And he should be punished. He was punished to die. He was a father of ethics anyway. चलो morality ethics हो गया. अच्छा, fundamental right क्या है? क्या हो गया? Yeah, what is fundamental right? Yeah, this side, from this side. Yes, Amber, Anonymous, Daman, Karishma, Kaushik. What is fundamental right? What is fundamental in fundamental rights? क्या है उनको बताने दीजिए इसके बाद. What is fundamental in fundamental rights? A set of basic rights, claims against the state, a set of rights fundamental in nature to live a good life. Very good. Very good, Athira. It is a fundamental because it's a necessary to live a good life, a happy life, a prosperous life, a developed life, a dignified life, a respectful life, without which life cannot mean a good life. Right? That's why it's a fundamental. Every state recognizes some set of rights as a fundamental rights. Very good, very good. Yeah, required for a human to live a dignified life. Very good, Harsh. So, yet what is a human right then? Now, what is a human right? Yeah, this is your turn. Yeah, a set of rights declared by United Nations General Assembly through the Universal Declaration of Human Rights on December 10, 1948. Okay? And that is called human rights. क्या पूछना है? Yes. No. It's a moral obligation on a state. Right? Since, UDHR is a universal declaration by the UNGA and maximum states are signatory of the UDHR. तो मान लीजिए कि ऐसा हमने कुछ एग्रीमेंट किया आपस में सब लोगों ने मिलके, ठीक है, और हमने सबने साइन किया, सर हम फॉलो करेंगे, राइट? It is a moral obligation on us to follow that, but it is not binding on nation state because United Nations is not a sovereign body. Who is a sovereign body? Nation state. ठीक है, नेशन स्टेट सोवरेन बॉडी है, उससे ऊपर कोई सोवरेन बॉडी नहीं है. फाइन, इतना. और कुछ पूछना है? नहीं. दैट इज रिकैप टू बी डन. थोड़ा एक चीज और बता देता हूं राइट्स के ऊपर. देयर आर सम सेट ऑफ राइट्स दैट इज कॉल्ड नेगेटिव राइट्स. there are, for example, we talked about liberty, we talked about negative liberty and positive liberty, right? Similarly, there are negative rights and positive rights, right? There are some set of rights which are negative in nature and which are positive in nature. Negative मतलब pejorative मत लेना. Negative मतलब ये मत लेना कि negative जैसे कि मतलब गलत wrong conception मत लेना. Negative rights means state has obligation to protect it. State has obligation to protect it. For example, right to life. Let me give you example. Right to life. No one can take it. The state has to protect it, but the state has not to right to take it without the procedure of law. Neither society, right? So state has obligation to protect to right to life, liberty, property. Now if you look at Indian fundamental right, all rights, जैसे liberty में हमने बात किया, right? For example, Article 15, Article 16, all are a set of negative rights. Positive rights क्या है? Article 21A. The state is empowering individual, right, to understand the rights. Positive rights क्या है? पूरा DPSP जो है a set of positive rights है. Article 15(3) जो है, Article 15(3) क्या है? State shall do a special, state shall make a special provision for woman and child. That is, अभी तो रटवाऊंगा, टेंशन मत लो. Each clause we will go through and you should remember. Right? Article 15(3) क्या क्या है? State shall make a special provision for woman and child. For example, maternity relief. Right? State has given reservation to women in panchayat. Right? These all are positive, role of a state to empowering vulnerable community. Right? So this is a positive obligation on the state. This is also obligation on the state. State का काम क्या है? Development करना, अच्छा काम करना. At the same time, state का काम क्या है? कुछ rights को भी respect देना. Like right to life, right to liberty. I'm working, state cannot come and arrest me. I'm working and the state has no right to come and arrest me. Fine. So there are right to life, right to liberty, जितना भी है ना सब negative में आता है. Right to liberty सब negative में आता है. समझ में आया? Right? What are the positive obligation on the state? DPSP is a positive obligation on the state. Article 15(3) is a positive obligation on the state. A state will do that. Right? Because the community is not able to do by themselves. Right? Fine? Got the idea? Negative right and positive right. चलो अब फंडामेंटल राइट शुरू करेंगे. फंडामेंटल राइट शुरू करने से पहले थोड़ा सा बेसिक चीज बताऊंगा मैं. क्या कुछ पूछना है? No. See, we'll talk about Article 12 and Article 13 because fundamental rights it starts with. If you see the set of fundamental right, it starts with 14. Fine. So before 14, we will talk about Article 12, which talks about state. और state का concept समझ लीजिए. State का मतलब क्या है? Do you have seen state? Anyone? Have you seen any state? Anyone? किसी ने state को देखा है तो मुझे हाथ उठाना. Yes, Harsh, Daman, Amber, others. You have not seen a state? हाँ? यही state है. यूपी बिहार केरला, वो वाला स्टेट नहीं। अच्छा, तो कौन सा स्टेट, किस में स्टेट में रह रहे हो? दिल्ली, गवर्निंग बॉडी, that is governing body, part of government or a state. It is a part of government or a state. Governing body, municipal authority, for example, administration. So like bureaucrat, a bureaucrat is a part of government or it is a state? It is a state. It is not a government. That is a part of the government. What is state then? Constitution is a state. State is an abstract concept. Right? State is an abstract concept. We live in a shadow of a state. We live in a shadow of a state. Every day we encounter state. Yes, you are right. Then when you say a bureaucrat, don't write anything. I'll dictate you, don't worry. When you say that a bureaucrat, yes, it is a part of government, but it represents state. Right? When you go to the, when you drive car or bike and traffic police comes and stop you, do you stop? Yeah? Why? What traffic police represents? It's a state. Okay, when a baby take birth in household, people go for what? What certificate? Birth certificate. Who provides birth certificate? Who provides birth certificate? Municipal organization, local government. It represents the state. When there is a marriage, people do go for registration of marriage. Right? Who provides that marriage certificate? Yeah, that represents the state. When you buy a new land, you go for registry. Right? Go for registry. What is that? Who does it? Yeah, that represents the state. When a person die, who issue death certificate? Can I issue? Can Plutus IS issue death certificate? No. It is a state, right? So a state can be defined in a different way. First way we defined, a state is a collection of institutions. A collection of institutions like police, military, right? Bureaucracy, right? Traffic police, right? Or revenue officer, or parliament, or prison, that represent the state. Right? Got the idea? State is a collection of institutions. There are several institutions that we call state, that represent the state. Now, another idea about the state, a state is a set of law, regulations, and business of the government. A set of law. For example, on traffic rule, traffic light, do you stop or not? Why do you stop? That is rules. You follow the state. You follow the state, right? When you drive your car, do you drive your own lane? That means the road lane for which made for you, or do you drive on in any lane? Any lane. Your own lane, na? If there is a one way, you have to one way. You cannot drive car as per your wish. There are set of laws, set of rules, set of regulations. किसी ने नहीं कहा कि आपको कार उधर चलाइए, but आप अपने आप चला रहे. Why do you do that? because that rules is a state, which tells you that be in your limitation, behave yourself, otherwise you will be punished. Fine, got the idea? So a state is a set of law, rules, regulations, right? Business of the government, business of the government, that also signify state. For example, when you walk on the road, which side do you walk on the road? On pavement, yeah, pavement and left side of the road, right? अगर आप दाएं जाते हो और पीछे से कोई टक्कर मार देता है तो फिर उसकी गलती या आपकी गलती है? आपकी गलती है, दोनों की गलती है। ले फाइंड इट, किसकी गलती है? आपकी गलती है जो चल रहे हैं, बिकॉज दैट इज नॉट द रूल्स. यू वॉक ऑन द राइट साइड ऑफ द रोड. You should take the pavement if there is a pavement, otherwise left side on the road. Fine. So a state is a set of law, rules, regulations, right? Now, this is the second idea. Third idea, let me talk about. A state is a territorial unit. When we say India, is India a state or not? When you say US, when you say UK, is India a person or not? Is India a person? No, it is an impersonal authority. It is an impersonal authority. India is an impersonal entity that we call a state. So it is a territorial unit. We can define state as a territorial unit. Fine. इतना समझ में आया? अलग अलग मतलब स्टेट का. अब आ जाइए आर्टिकल 12 के ऊपर. How Article 12 talks about a state. This is the basic concept of a state. We encounter state every day. कितने लोगों का गवर्नमेंट पाइपलाइन आता है, वाटर पाइपलाइन आपके? That state enters your house in the morning in the form of water, right? When you start walking on the road, that means you are using a state. In everyday life, you encounter or we encounter state on different occasions, different moments, right? As the first line I have used, we lives in a shadow of state every time. नहीं जीते हैं, बताओ, right? So अब क्या सही है क्या गलत वो बाद की बात है. Now let's talk about Article 12. Now if you look at Article 12, what does it? It defines a state. Article defines state. Now, how does it define a state? You should go through Bare Act and read it. Everyone, अब Bare Act है आपके पास? Bare Act का खेला शुरू हो गया. I told you that by a Bare Act, and then I will tell you read it. How will you do that? अगर अभी नहीं पढ़ोगे तो कब पढ़ोगे ये बताओ मुझे. राइट? अगर क्लास में नहीं पढ़ोगे तो घर में कैसे पढ़ोगे? क्लास में थोड़ा थोड़ा तो पढ़ोगे, घर पे आराम से पढ़ना. ओके, लेट मी रीड इट. नहीं पढ़ेंगे तो दिक्कत हो जाएगा. लिखिए, definition of a state. In this part, unless the context otherwise required, the state include government and parliament of India, the government and legislature of each state, and all local and other authorities within the territory of India or under the control of the government of India, which is defined by Article 12. Right? Now, if you look at एक चीज बता देता हूं, इतना चीज बता दिया मैंने. There are 4 basic elements. ये लिखवाना है क्या पहले? You should note it. You should note it and then let me dictate it. Right? Should I dictate it? Dictation कर देता हूं सीधा. Yeah. Right. Right. Start writing. Yes. Atira, Avai, others, Amber and Daman, hers. Start writing. Nitin, Priyanshi. Right. State is an abstract concept. State is an abstract concept. We live in the shadow of a state. We live in the shadow of a state. For instance, when a baby takes birth, takes a birth, we go to local authority to receive birth certificate. Birth certificate. The local authority represents a state. The local authority represents state. Similarly, police, military, bureaucracy, revenue officer, prison, parliament. Similarly, institutions like police, military, bureaucracy, revenue officer, parliament, prison, all represents a state. It means a state is a collection of institutions. It means state is a collection of institutions. Done. Harsh, Daman, Amber, Sakshi, Lal Suranga, Nitin, Priyanshi. Done. In the para and write. In the para and write. A state is also represented by a set of rules, law, regulation. State is also represented by a set of rules, law, regulations, and business of the government. सरकार का काम. Business of the government. For instance, we follow traffic law, traffic rules. For example, we follow traffic rules. Fine. Change the para and write. A state can be defined as a territorial unit. To change the para and write, state can be defined as a territorial unit, like the US, India, UK, France, Germany, Sri Lanka, Nepal, etc. Therefore, there are multiple meaning of state. Therefore, there are multiple meaning of state. There is a different way to define state. When I said state is an abstract concept, matlab it's not visible, right? Something represented by, by the authority, rules, regulation, and they represent a state. We cannot see a state. Fine. Now, there are four basic elements of state, right? There are four basic elements of a state. There are four basic elements of a state. One, territory. Second, population. Third, government. Fourth, sovereignty. Territory, population, government, and territory. These are the four essential elements of state. So to give you example, एक भी element नहीं रहेगा तो state नहीं होगा. If there is a lack of a single element, that cannot be called a state. Let me give you example. Before 1971, East Pakistan, there was a different set of land. It was a different set of land. So it had territory, it had population, it had government, but it had no sovereignty. And there was no called Bangladesh. It was a not independent state. It was controlled by the West Pakistan. So Bangladesh was not a state. Fine. Now let me talk about, Israel, right? When it became a state. In 1948, before 1948, Israel was there was no state because there was a territory, but population was, their population was not confined, not concentrated into a one small territory. Right? बहुत जगह पे था, सरकारें नहीं थी, sovereignty कुछ भी नहीं था इनका. Got the idea? So these four are essential element of state. अगर एक भी element नहीं होगा, you can't say this is a state. Fine? समझ में आया? कोई सवाल? Yes, Amber, Daman, Manogna, Harsh. समझ में आया? Now, Article 12 defines a state. This definition is totally different from this. There are multiple meaning of state. How Indian Constitution defines a state? Right? Article 12 defines a state as first, कल से बेयर एक्ट लाइएगा, right? Make it sure that you will bring bear act. Government of India, government, government, 1 minute. Government and Parliament in India, Parliament of India. दूसरा है गवर्नमेंट एंड लेजिस्लेचर ऑफ ईच स्टेट. Legislature of each state. Government and legislature of each state. Then third, local authority. Local government लिखा है इसे. 1 minute, 1 minute. Local authority. Right? And third, any other authority. Other authorities. Now you see, there are, diverse definition of state. One is Government of India and Parliament. Right? Government of India, GOI, and Parliament, that is a state. Fine. Then there is a government of state and state legislature. Then local authority. Local authority क्या हुआ? Local government, yes, panchayat. Yeah, municipal corporation. What is about this other authority? Any authority which is substantially financed and regulated by government of either state or government of India. Right? Other authority के बारे में थोड़ा सा लिखिए तो. Any authority, it refers to any authority which is substantially financed and substantially regulated. Substantially regulated by the government. For example, किसी ने बोला LIC, ONGC, yes, you're right. LIC, ONGC, right? Cell, GAIL, yeah, you're right. University, you're right. All right, very good. Cell, GAIL, University, all represent state. Cell, GAIL, University. अच्छा, सरकारी स्कूल. अच्छा, रेलवे. क्या? Railway authority. All represent the state. Bank, yes, bank represent the state. Now tell me, can you consider Plutus IS as a state? Can you consider Plutus IS as a state? No. But consider tomorrow, Government of India has given Plutus IS to a contract. Okay, you have this contract, you get this money, right? And you play this, you follow this set of rules. And one person from the government come here and sit to see the regulations, right? How many students have inducted, what are the classes going on, supervision jisko bolte. In that sense, can we call Plutus IS as a state? Yeah. In that sense, we can call Plutus IS as a state because there is a highly regulated and substantially funded by the state. Fine. In that sense, we can call any organization. So can we call NGO as a state? Yeah, it is funded by the government. That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking. Is it a state? Then why it is not a state? It is substantially financed, and it is substantially financed by the state. It is not highly regulated by the state. That is. It is not highly regulated by the state. NGO is free to work as per their rules, regulations. Fine, and that's why NGO is not a state. Yeah, okay, Atira, Hers, Amber, others, Sakshi, making sense about a state. Now, can we call judiciary as a state? Why? Huh? Judiciary is not regulated. You know, if you bear act ही नहीं है तो क्या बताऊं तुम्हारे पास? Article 36 देखो. Read Article 36. क्या है? You also sit on a study table with the bare act. Online students. क्या है Article 36 में? पढ़ो. पढ़िए. In this part, unless the context otherwise required, ये बहुत बड़ा meaning है. The state has same definition as a Article 12, Part 3 में जो है. Now, if you look at, बहुत बढ़िया. If you look at judiciary, judiciary is not a state as per Article 12, right? In the layman language, judiciary is not a state as per. Now, if you look at judiciary, it has 3 parts, right? Judiciary का क्या part है? 3 parts है. अगर UPSC इतना अंदर गया तो, it has a legislative part. It has legislative part. For example, Vishakha guideline. Right? Now, will Vishakha guideline will be a state or not? As per Article 12. It will be a state. As per Article 12. Now, it has executive. Staff होता है ना, जब आप कोर्ट में घुसते हो, there are staffs होते हैं. They cannot restrict you to enter into the premises. They represent the state. तो administrative जो है उसका structure, they are a state. जो adjudication part है, that is not a state. The adjudication part, यानी delivery of justice, that is not a state. Got the idea? If you look at judiciary, you know, issues lots of direction, right? Can be called that a state? Yes, that can be called a state. If the direction is executive nature or legislative in nature. अगर otherwise adjudicative part है तो ये state नहीं होगा. But why is judiciary is not a state? No. Why judiciary is not a state? You got the idea? What is judiciary? कौन सा part state है, कौन सा part state नहीं है? The adjudicative part of the judiciary is not a state under Article 12. But why judiciary is not a state under Article 12? No. Judiciary is here to protect the people from the state. It is demos. It is near to the demos, to the people, to protect the state. What judiciary's work is there? Judiciary is to protect the people from the excess of the state. पुलिस वाला अगर आपको अरेस्ट कर लेता है, जुडिशरी क्या करती है? तुरंत बेल देती है अगर कुछ गड़बड़ नहीं है तो. Basically, judiciary is not a state, but judiciary is with the people. Got the idea? And that's why judiciary has to protect from the state. Yeah, am I making sense? एडजुडिकेटिव मीन्स मतलब क्या होगा? वर्डिक्ट जो देती है, जो भी जुडिशरी वर्डिक्ट देगी, अगर वो लॉ के फॉर्म में होगा, मान लो जुडिशरी बहुत सारे वर्डिक्ट होता है, बट अगर वो लॉ के फॉर्म में होगा, जैसे विशाखा गाइडलाइन, तो वो स्टेट होगा। अगर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव टाइप का होगा तो अदरवाइज जो एडजुडिकेटिव कोई भी वर्डिक्ट होता है, इट इज नॉट स्टेट, बेसिकली इट प्रोटेक्ट द स्टेट। Got the idea? Adjudicative part means the delivery of the judgment. Harsh, you got it? The meaning? Got the meaning of adjudicative part? Yeah. Now, why judiciary is not a state? Because, yeah, it is near to the people, right? It is near to the people. Demos matlab bataya tha us din. People. It's supposed to protect people, rights of the citizen from state. Got the idea? What judiciary does? Judiciary protect us from access of the state. Fine. Got the idea? चलो, confusion तो नहीं रहेगा. Now come to Article 13. We'll move article by article with the concept. इतना clear है? What is state? Why judiciary is not a state? Any question if you have, you can ask. Is political party a state? Tell me, is a political party a state or not? Is BJP a state? No. BJP is not a state, or Congress is not a state. Right? As you see Article 12, state is only central government and union legislature, state government and the state legislature, the local government and the other authority, substantially financed, highly regulated by the government. Otherwise, nothing called a state. Fine, Nitin? Which one? Yeah, India is a democratic country.
But why there are no people?
No people in the state.
Representation of the state.
So who runs the state?
Sir, in state here, we are discussing about government organizations.
Yeah, I told you that state is abstract concept. Have you seen any state? You said no. Right? But it is run by the state. You will be bureaucrat, you will run the state. You will represent the state. And you will represent the government also. Right? Government may change, but you won't be changed. Isn't it? Will you change? एक बार bureaucrat बन गए तो बदलोगे क्या? वो नहीं बदलता है. That is a permanent executive that we call. वो बदलता नहीं है. You will represent the state. At the same time, sometimes you will represent the government. So sometimes you will feel that government and state coterminous. एक ही जैसा लगेगा. But it is not that the case. Got the idea? Fine. Yeah, any more question? Yeah.
So recently, government acquired 35% share in rules of the company from So currently, all the funding and everything is controlled by the government. So can you call it Vodafone Idea?
No. Percentage कितना है? Is it substantial financed? Substantially financed means 50% तो ज्यादा होने चाहिए. नहीं होना चाहिए. A stakeholder is the government, but it's not a substantially financed. Government is not financing it substantially. And I don't know about the regulation. The organization should be highly financed and substantially financed and highly regulated. हाँ बताइए. ये फिर से बताना, समझ नहीं आया मुझे. Welfare
Welfare need offered by the government in order to protect Vodafone from the sector.
बेल आउट कहते हैं इसको, दैट्स कॉल्ड बेल आउट, राइट. Government aided school, tell me government aided school is a state or not? You just, there are two criteria to measure it. Substantially finance है, यानी 50% से ऊपर फाइनेंस होना चाहिए. हाईली रेगुलेटेड मीन्स वो रेगुलेटेड गवर्नमेंट के नियम कानून के हिसाब से चलना चाहिए. If two criteria is fulfilled or fulfilled by any organization, then that organization will come under the state. Sakshi. Pooja ne pucha, if BJP is a current government of India, then it is not a state. BJP is not a government. BJP has formed the government. It's not that all person from the BJP is elected as a representative. No. Only few people from the BJP had been elected by the people of India, and they have formed the government. They have majority in the parliament. Right. Political party is a bridge between the state and, or between the government and society. Fine. Political party. Okay. Should I start Article 13? What is Article 13? पढ़िए इसको. Yeah, you read it. Can anyone unmute yourself and read? Sir, what about President and PM? Yeah, PM and President represent the state when they go outside. Right? PM and President represent the state. Okay, hers? Yeah. PM and President or any council minister, they represent the state. Fine? Yeah. Now read Article 13. थोड़ा Article 13 पढ़िए, क्या है? बहुत बड़ा है, रहने दीजिए, मैं खुद कर देता हूँ, काम छोटा. राइट. बोले सर पढ़ना होता तो घर पे पढ़ लेते, यहाँ पर क्यों आते? हाँ, आपको हायर क्यों करते? Now if you see, it says, you know, state, एक पहले तो ये है, पहले ये है कि कोई भी लॉ जो इंडिपेंडेंस से पहले था ना, एनी लॉ which was there in before the independence, right, if that law is contravention to the fundamental right, shall be null and void. Any law that existed before independence, right, if that law is opposite to the fundamental right, then that law will be null and void. Right? For example, पहले था रॉय साहब देना, सर कहना, सर टाइटल होता था, सर रॉय राय साहब, हाँ, प्रैक्टिस में थी. But after fundamental right, when after 26 January 1950, right, that law become null and void. You cannot give sir and Roy Sahab or Roy, right? So any law that existed before independence, right, if it is contravention, if it is inconsistent, if it is opposite to the fundamental right, shall be null and void. समझ में आया? समझ में आया? फर्स्ट क्लॉज एक पॉइंट लिखिए. all laws that are inconsistent to part 3, that is FR, of the Constitution, shall be null and void after 26 January 1950. मतलब यही था, इसमें लिखा नहीं है, बट वो कॉन्सेप्ट था. तो all laws that are inconsistent to part 3 fundamental right of the constitution shall be null and void. For example, I had given you one example that पहले सर और रॉय साहब देने का एक tradition था. You cannot carry out that law. Now second point, second बात ये कह दिया कि fundamental rights अभी लिखना नहीं है. Hang on. Second बात ये कहती है, second point is that state cannot make any law that is inconsistent with the fundamental right declared in part 3. State कोई ऐसा law नहीं बना सकती जो fundamental right, जो 3 fundamental right है part 3 में, उसके inconsistent हो, उसके opposite हो. Got the idea? So right, state cannot make law state cannot make law inconsistent with the fundamental right rights declared in part 3. Part 3, that is of the constitutional division of the constitution. यानी स्टेट कोई ऐसा लॉ नहीं बनाएगी जो फंडामेंटल राइट डिक्लेयर्ड है ना, 6 सेट ऑफ फंडामेंटल राइट्स, उसके अगेंस्ट में हो. मेकिंग सेंस? क्लियर? अच्छा, अब ये लॉ का मतलब क्या होगा? तो कोई भी लॉ, रेगुलेशन, कुछ भी आप ऐसा नहीं ला सकते जो फंडामेंटल राइट के विरुद्ध में हो. नाउ इफ यू लुक एट दिस आर्टिकल 13 इज रिवोल्यूशनरी इन नेचर. It is revolutionary in nature. How is it so? Because if you look at any law that was, in opposition, to fundamental right, became null and void. कोई भी law है, right? And Britishers' law was not uniform for all. It was discriminatory, right? For example, right to vote was not allowed to everyone. Right, it was allowed to only propertied class and educated class. Right? Fine. और दूसरा restrict क्या लगा दिया? State cannot make law inconsistent with the fundamental right declared in part 3 of the Indian Constitution. Fine. So that is Article 12 and Article 13. Article 12 declares what is a state. Article 13 talks about some provisions regarding law and fundamental right. Sir, what is the difference between Article 3.1 and 3.2? ये तो बताए ना. 13.1 ये है कि कोई लॉ था मैंने पहले ब्रिटिश टाइम पे, अगर वो लॉ फंडामेंटल राइट के अगेंस्ट में है, that law would be null and void. If any law which existed in pre-independence time, if that law is inconsistent with the Constitution of India, Fundamental Right Part 3, that law should be null and void. And part second is state. State means Indian state. State means parliament. State means state legislature. Parliament and legislature cannot make law which can be opposite to the fundamental rights, inconsistent with the fundamental rights. If state makes such law, then law will be null and void. Got the idea? State cannot make law which would be opposition to the rights given in the part 3 of the Indian Constitution. Understood? Okay, fine. जब इतना हो गया, ठीक है, फाउंडेशन हो गया आपका फंडामेंटल राइट के लिए. Now we have how many fundamental rights we have? 6 sets of fundamental right. चलिए आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रखती है, ठीक है। इसमें काले अक्षर में क्या लिखा है उसको रटने से कोई फायदा नहीं है, किताब में रटने से कोई फायदा नहीं, कुछ याद नहीं रहेगा, राइट। जब आपकी अपनी समझ है, यू कैन राइट इन योर ओन लैंग्वेज, राइट, बट यूज द की वर्ड, राइट, यूज द की वर्ड इन योर आंसर। इतना ज्यादा सिलेबस है, कितना याद रखोगे यार। और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एक एक आर्टिकल इतना बड़ा बड़ा है, कितना याद रखोगे। नाउ 6 सेट्स ऑफ फंडामेंटल, पहला क्या है, या वेरी गुड, राइट टू इक्वालिटी। आर्टिकल क्या है, 18, वेरी गुड। देन सेकेंड, फ्रीडम, आर्टिकल क्या है, वेरी गुड। थर्ड क्या है, या वेरी गुड। राइट अगेंस्ट एक्सप्लॉयटेशन, आर्टिकल क्या है, फोर्थ क्या है, राइट टू फ्रीडम ऑफ रिलीजन, आर्टिकल क्या है इसका, या आर्टिकल। देन फिफ्थ क्या है, या कल्चरल एंड educational rights. What are the articles? 29 and 30. Very good. Then what are the other rights? Right to constitutional remedy. आर्टिकल कौन सा है? These are the 6 sets of rights. Originally there was 7 sets of rights. There was a right to property, but right to property was transferred from here, from fundamental right to legal right. That is article 300A or 3001. 300A, yeah, 300A. Yeah, anyone can you speak from online so that I can understand whether when you can speak I can hear or not. Abhay, Daman, Amber, others.
Could you be able to hear me, sir?
काम कर रहा है इसका कि नहीं? Unmute yourself and speak. Try to speak.
Could you be able to hear us, sir?
नहीं, I'm unable to hear if anyone speaking. Fine, ठीक है, but I hope I'm audible. Amber is trying, sir, but I'm not listening him. Yeah, I'm not able to hear you. कल ऐसा ही हुआ, कुछ लोगों ने सवाल पूछा और मैंने सुना ही नहीं. Yeah, did I make sense? Fundamental right का basic हो गया. Should we start right to equality? हाँ? टाइम कितना हुआ? हमारे पास टाइम है ना, आधा घंटा है. Now if you see, even constitution was a revolutionary idea, right? Making constitution was a revolutionary idea, and even giving equality right? India was the most unequal society in the world, right? And what constitution strives for? Equality. I told you that equality is a normative concept. We desire for equality, right? As human being, we have some pity. Pityness, पता है? किसी को दर्द होता है ना, तो हमें लगता है sympathy, right? करुणा है इंसान के अंदर में, and that's why human being wants equality, right? And if you see, it was a feudal society. There was no equality at all, right? There was n numbers of inequality. What we desired for equality, and first equality was equality before the law. That law at least should not differentiate between man and woman, right? So first equality is equality before the law. Article 14, what is equality before law? Can you read Article 14? Read it. बैराक नहीं है, कल से बैराक के साथ आइएगा, right? And you online students also should sit with बैराक. When I say you read बैराक, you read with your बैराक. I will read my बैराक. जब तक आप पढ़ेंगे नहीं 2-4 बार, तब तक थोड़ा सा दिक्कत होगा, और ये कैसे काम आएगा आपको बाद में रियलाइज आएगा, right? It will of course it will help you in writing men's answer also, and also in PT. If you are writing polity answer and if you are not mentioning article, if you are not mentioning CRPC, if you are not mentioning IPC, right? If you know, must mention it. If you are not mentioning Supreme Court verdict, then वो कहानी लिख के तो कोई भी आ जाएगा. Many people write answer ना, but how someone's writing becomes a special. You have to substantiate your answer with article, with CRPC, with Supreme Court verdict. Fine. So equality before law, चलिए मैं पढ़ देता हूं. ये है, state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or equal protection of the law within the territory of India. I'm repeating it. The state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or equal protection of the law within the territory of India. You also write it. The state shall not deny to any person equality before the law and equal protection of the law, and the equal protection of the law within the territory of India. Within the territory of India. अब यहां पे क्या है कि state shall not deny equality before the law and equal protection of law to any person. This, इसका क्या मतलब है? This right is available to all, any person, to citizen and non-citizen, isn't it? Right? So you can write this right is available to everyone. ठीक है, this right is available to everyone, that is to citizens as well as non-citizen. Right? Now here see equality before the law. What does it mean, equality before the law? State shall not deny any person equality before the law. इसका क्या मतलब है equality before the law? Yeah, anyone? What does it mean? ये जो तो term आया है equality before the law and equal protection of the law. What do you mean by equality before the law? Yeah, आपने पढ़ा होगा.
The law implies equally for everyone.
Yeah, the law will be applicable equally for everyone and there shall be no discrimination between man, woman, rich, poor, official, right, street vendors. Fine. Yeah, so this is the first meaning of this. What is the second? There will be no special privileges to anyone. There will be no special privileges to anyone, right? And everyone will be treated equally. Fine. So, right, equality before the law refers to first A, absence of special privileges. Absence of special privileges. B, equal application of law. To all, equal application of law to all, that means no discrimination. Equal application of law to all, और कुछ मीनिंग है इसका? नहीं. If you see, equality before law is an important component of rule of law. लिख लिया आप लोगों ने? दमन, अंबर, हर्ष, ख्याति, आदर्श, अभय, अथिरा. Have you written now? हो गया? चलो. Now, if you look at equality before law, it is a integral part. It is a component of rule of law. What is the rule of law? You can write a C. It is an element of rule of law. What is rule of law? Rule of law क्या है? Rule of law is a concept developed by a jurist. His name was Dicey in Britain, right? And it has three meanings. One is absence of arbitrary power. Absence of arbitrary power. Secondly, equality before the law. And third is priority of rights. Fine. So, right, equal rule of law is a concept. It is a concept developed by a British jurist. British scholar लिखिए, not jurist. British scholar A.V. Dicey. right? The concept has three components. The concept has three elements. First, absence of arbitrary power. Second, equality before law. And third is priority of rights. Priority of rights. राइट ठीक है, इसके बीच में कोल्ड ड्रिंक हो जाता कितना मजा आएगा नहीं? हाँ, इतना थक कंसंट्रेशन के बाद कुछ एंजॉयमेंट हो जाए, हाँ? एक एक समोसा हो जाए बीच में, क्या वैसा बढ़िया रहेगा? हाँ, नहीं 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 नहीं, नहीं। पूछोगे तो मना ही करेंगे ना यार। अरे नहीं, मैं ऐसे बोल रहा हूँ माहौल। हाँ, मेरी तरफ से पार्टी ठीक है, पक्का ठीक है। ऑनलाइन वाले फील क्या करेंगे, सर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो गया मेरे साथ। हाँ, नहीं हो जाएगा डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, तो फिर 20-20 रुपया उसको क्या पोस्टमार्टम ये करोगे क्या? हाँ, जो मैं, हाँ ट्रांसफर करना पड़ेगा जोमेटो से, यूपीआई बोला, यूपीआई कर दो सर। फ्रंट भी तेज है भाई। चलो अच्छा, एब्सेंस ऑफ आर्बिट्री पावर का क्या मतलब है?
किसी के पास ही कोई एक ही इंसान का पावर जो है वो लिमिटेड
नहीं, exactly, the one, there is no one is above the law, right? आर्बिट्री पावर मतलब पुलिस को जितना पावर है उतना ही काम करे, एग्जीक्यूटिव के पास जितना पावर है, राइट? Everyone should be limited with their power, whether it is executive, whether it is a police, whether it is a bureaucracy, right? And there should not be, called monster type of power, right? So all power should be within the limit of law. Absence of arbitrary power. ऐसा नहीं कि पकड़ा और धर के पकड़, मतलब पुलिस जो करती है, no, police are not allowed to beat you up, right? But पुलिस को क्या सिखाया गया है? पकड़ना और कान के ऊपर चार देना. Police is not allowed, yeah.
And then he proves to be innocent. So can he file a case against the police?
There is no such compensation or arrangement of compensation in India. For example, a person who was, arrested in the terrorism, he spent 21 years in jail, but after 21 years, he acquitted, right? Because he was innocent. Can anyone return that 21 years to that person? There is no such compensation. Compensated, yes, you are right, compensated. If any person is arrested illegally, for example, I can be arrested in sedition, but later on, judiciary will acquit me. No, you cannot arrest, right? Who will compensate those time, those horror, those violence, psychological violence that done by the state, police and other? No, there is no arrangement of such compensation. Fine. Got the idea? Arbitrary power? पता चला? अच्छा, equality before the law पता चला. ऊपर जो हमने डिस्कशन किया है, what is priority of rights? What is priority of rights? यहां पर क्या मतलब है? डज इट, ये तो इंडिया में है, ये भी इंडिया में है, क्या ये है? दैट्स माय पर्पस इज टू relate to the Indian polity. Do we have priority of rights? No. We have priority to constitution. We have rights as per the Indian constitution. यहां पर क्या है? Right, हर इंडिविजुअल का राइट है until he doesn't law. इंग्लैंड में. So in India, this two element, in Indian polity, these two element exist, but the last doesn't. It is a supremacy of the constitution that exists in Indian polity, right? In Indian polity, not likhiye, in Indian polity, first and second elements of the rule of law exist. There is no supremacy of the rights. ऐसे लिखिए, there is supremacy of the constitution. Not rights, not of rights. हमारे यहाँ राइट्स का सुप्रीमेसी नहीं है, हमारे पास क्या है? कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का सुप्रीमेसी है. We have rights under the prescribed constitution. Difference, yeah. For example, see, I have used some substance which is not illegal in Britain. I'm living in Britain, I have done something which is not illegal. I'm allowed to do that. Right? Now come to India. I'm allowed to do whatever the constitution permits. Right? For example, अगर यूके में, मान लीजिए कि इंडिया में है, इंडिया में लॉ भी है. हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट नेशनल ऑनर एक्ट? मान लीजिए अभी तो हर घर तिरंगा चल रहा था, राइट? यूएस में, यूएस में अलाउड है कि यू कैन बर्न योर नेशनल फ्लैग. फाइन. So law allow, you have all rights where law allow. Until you don't violate law, you have rights. India में क्या है कि law भी है, but constitution also does not allow you. Fundamental duty say you it's your duty to obey, respect the national emblem, national anthem, sovereignty and integrity of the nation. You are not allowed. Right? So law तो already आपके पास है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन भी राइट्स को मेंटेन करता है, रिस्ट्रिक्ट करता है. फाइन. नाउ कम टू द इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लॉ. एक चीज मैंने बताना भूल गया, इट हैज यूके ओरिजिन. बता दिया था ना कि ऊपर में कि एविडेंसी वाज ए ब्रिटिश जूरिस्ट. यस, ठीक है. इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लॉ, इसका क्या मतलब है? या इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लॉ. नाउ इफ यू लुक एट द रूल ऑफ लॉ which has some pejorative connotation, some have negative connotation. How can you equalize everyone before the law, a man and woman? Can woman be imprisoned in the same manner as a man? Can a child be imprisoned or sentenced to like the same manner as a man? No. Right? So if you look at rule of law, it has some negative connotation. Fine. But if you look at equal protection of law, it argues that treat equally in equal circumstances. अगर चाइल्ड है तो चाइल्ड के हिसाब से ट्रीट कीजिए, अगर वुमेन है तो वुमेन के, राइट? अगर सीरियल किलर है तो सीरियल किलर के हिसाब से कीजिए, अगर फर्स्ट टाइम किलर है तो फर्स्ट टाइम किलर के हिसाब से उसको ट्रीट कीजिए, isn't it? For example, there is a two person A and B. A has killed first time and B is a serial killer. Now if you go to the equality before the law, should be treated equally. लेकिन 9 times he escaped from the police, 10th times he was caught. Can we treat these two similarly? No. Right? So here equal protection of law, and it has US origin, and it said that equal treatment in equal circumstances, treat alike like. समझ में आ रहा है ये? लिखिए, it has US origin, it refers to equal treatment in equal circumstances. Equal circumstance, it has positive connotation. पॉजिटिव कैनोटेशन, कुछ अच्छा लगता है कि ठीक है भाई, गर्ल शुड बी, यू नो, वुमन शुड बी ट्रीटेड एज अ वुमन, child should be there should be juvenile court to treat child differently, right? Sane or insane you cannot treat equally. किसी sane इंसान और कोई पागल इंसान है, दूसरों को इक्वली ट्रीट नहीं कर सकते आप. If there is a differently able person and there are naturally fit person, you cannot treat differently able person and naturally fit person equally. Fine. You can write example भी लिख सकते हो. It has US origin, refer to equal treatment in equal circumstances. It has positive connotation. You know, it says treat like alike. Treat like alike. For example, for instance, बताइए, LGBTQIA, woman, child, insane, राइट? सबको अलग अलग तरीके से ट्रीट करना है. आर्टिकल 14 क्लियर हुआ? यही आर्टिकल 14 है. कुछ और बचा है? हाँ. नाउ यू कैन राइट आर्टिकल इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ इज अ बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर. बाद में करवा दूंगा. जब बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर करवाऊंगा देन आई विल टेल यू व्हाट आर द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ इंडियन. पता चल गया? डन. अच्छा, कुछ और पूछना है? बताओ. आज आर्टिकल 3 हमने 3 आर्टिकल किया हमने. इंडिया में तो बोथ है एप्लीकेबल राइट. यस we have both equality before the law and equal protection of the law. Now if you see US नहीं, UN में आपने UN का अगर चार्टर पढ़ोगे, ये इसका किसका, UDHR, यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स, वहां पर भी दोनों है, इक्वालिटी बिफोर द लॉ एंड इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ द लॉ. यूएस में क्या है? यूएस में है इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लॉ. यूके में क्या है? इक्वालिटी बिफोर द लॉ. फाइन. यस, टेल मी एनी क्वेश्चन इफ यू हैव. अच्छा, कल टेस्ट की बारी है. See what we'll do, what I'll do, टेस्ट होगा 15-20 आधे घंटे का. यहीं पे हम लोग डिस्कस कर लेंगे. आपसे भी आंसर मांग लेंगे, इनसे भी आंसर मांग लेंगे, राइट? वी विल डू वन बाय वन. तो उसको आंसर करते भी जाएंगे एंड एक्सप्लेनेशन भी मैं करते जाऊंगा. एंड देन आफ्टर दैट यू नो वी विल स्टार्ट टीचिंग एंड डिस्कशन. long answers I'll give you. Yeah, someone is speaking. अच्छा, टॉपिक कल के लिए क्या दोगे? मैं जितना अभी आज तक पढ़ा चुका हूं, हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड में भेज दूंगा, क्वेश्चन उसके ऊपर आपके घर पे लिख लीजिए, या हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड करना है, यू डिसाइड. हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड, ओके, लेट्स दिस क्योंकि मैंने कहा भी था, तो वी विल टॉक अबाउट हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. वी विल डिस्कस इट एंड देन वी विल स्टार्ट आर्टिकल 15. आर्टिकल 15 मूवी देखी है किसी ने? नहीं देखी है तो मौका मिले तो देख लीजिएगा आज रात को. आर्टिकल 15. Topic for test is historical background of India's constitution and making of India's constitution, both. Objective. Subjective तो मैं दे ही देता हूं. Subjective I'll give you. You write it and submit it to me. Fine. कुछ और पूछना है? Any question? Yes. Any question? No. अरे पूछो यार. Ask. ये टेस्ट क्लास टेस्ट ही होगा. विद इन द क्लास वी विल आई विल आस्क यू, राइट? टॉपिक फॉर द टेस्ट, हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड. And second is making of India's constitution. Next week we will do preamble and salient features. Sir, have you checked the laxmikant positive secularism? मुझे चेक करने की जरूरत नहीं है अभय. It's all right. There is no need to check it. Please arrange the speaker so that we will ask the dot clearly. अरे speaker तो I'll ask the technical team to make it correct. I'm unable to do that. I express my inability. I hope they will do that. Don't worry. Yes. Hers is asking question that equal protection of law is a more positive in nature. Why do we have equality before the law as well? We experienced 200 years British system. If you know that out of 395 article of Indian Constitution, more than 225 were from Government of India Act 1935, right? So equality before law was already there. We borrowed equality before the law and we added a new component to it, that is equal protection of law, hers. So we borrowed from the colonial rule. अरे आर्टिकल 14 का मैं अभी एक्सेप्शन नहीं बताया हूं. ये बोल रहा है नितिन कि if there is equality before the law, then why do we give a special treatment to MLA? There are some exceptions to article 14. I'll discuss tomorrow. Exceptions of article 14. MLA, MP, governor, president, right? Journalist, right? And also article 31C is exception to the article 14. We'll talk about tomorrow. We will talk about, Nitin, tomorrow, what are the exceptions of article 14. There are 5-6 exceptions.